My 29 female, brother 31, and his wife 34 got married 2 months ago. They had a destination wedding. Unfortunately, none of our side except a cousin could attend due to multiple valid reasons, which I will list a few. Grandparents are too old to travel. Our mom has breast cancer, and my dad takes full care of her. Our youngest brother's girlfriend and I are heavily pregnant. Our older brother and aunt are busy doctors who have to be extra careful. Everyone else either couldn't afford it or couldn't afford to take 2 weeks off. We tried to explain the situation months before the wedding, but were hit with, "Our wedding, our rules. Don't like it, don't come." We asked to help in any way we could, but a few weeks before the wedding, their attitudes changed. We were told they'd prefer to go low contact because we weren't coming to the wedding, which meant we didn't support their marriage. I even begged to pay for the bridesmaids' dresses, but my brother told me he didn't want my money. He wanted me at his day. I tried to explain to him that his wedding was 4 days before my due date. He ended up screaming at me, calling me a spoiled, entitled brat, then blocked me. They did similar stuff with everyone else. They even went as far as getting my extremely sick mother upset to the point my father stopped talking to my brother. So, on to the situation. After months of passive-aggressive posts on social media and bridezilla/groomzilla tantrums, they wanted to make up with everyone. Unfortunately, my mother found out. Incredibly heartbreaking news. She only has 6 months left. We all ended up having dinner at my family home tonight, with everyone being extremely cold to my brother and his wife. No one really cared to listen about their wedding, nor looked at their photos. My brother ended up getting us, siblings alone, to ask why we were being cold. My youngest brother told him tonight wasn't the time and walked away. The oldest said he would go no contact with the groom after Mom passed. I'm his only sister, and he seemed madder at me. So I told him and sister-in-law, "You got your big day. Now you have to deal with the consequences." My brother and sister-in-law got extremely upset and left. My mother asked what happened, but we told her he needed to leave early. My brother sent me a heartbreaking email afterward. He told me he felt so rejected because we weren't at his wedding or apologized later. I could have apologized to my brother and tried to hear things from his side because he probably does feel extremely alone right now. So, am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. Your brother and his wife had grand visions for their wedding and seemed to be entirely tone deaf about the viability of those visions. That's not your fault or issue. They seem pretty immature. Nothing stopped him from having a second ceremony. He's mad the wedding was impossible for the family to attend due to timing, location, and current state of the world, and is lashing out for everyone not doing the impossible for him. Agree. Your brother doesn't get to alienate his family, make it impossible for them to come to his wedding, and then turn around and play the victim on the other side. Seriously though, was the bride's family able to attend? To gauge whether it was possibly the sister-in-law driving a wedge between you and him, or whether they're idiots the whole way around. My mind is totally blown that your family meets while everyone is digesting the news that Mom only has 6 more months, and your brother and sister-in-law want to discuss their wedding? They got you and your siblings alone, not to discuss your mother, but his hurt feelings. Maybe he'll grow up someday, maybe not. OP, if you find your brother's self-serving email heartbreaking, despite the irrefutable bullet points you wrote about the reasons you all couldn't attend the self-indulgent destination wedding, then you should also be heartbroken that he's brain dead. Sincere condolences on your mother, and congratulations on your new baby. Was the destination important to them? Perhaps he was upset that you felt you had money to buy all the bridesmaids' dresses, but couldn't be bothered, from his perspective, to make the trip to celebrate his wedding. The fact that he's trying to make amends, such as with the siblings, and send emotionally vulnerable emails, suggests that he cares deeply about the wedding and feels rejected. And given that no one was interested in the photos or the stories after the fact, I can see where he's coming from. You're not the idiot, OP, but I'm not sure your brother is either. I have a small family in which I'm the main provider. My wife also works, but she doesn't make as much as I do. And if something happened to me, my wife and daughters would not be in a good place. I recently had a near-death experience, and I decided to get a good life insurance policy. I know I'm a little late to this, and I probably should have done it when I first had kids, but I was irresponsible and hadn't really considered death in an accident happening. So I got a good policy, and I don't want to say how much it is, but let's just say that combined with my wife's income, they would be better off without me than with me financially. Now, I trust my wife, but I think some things can stand to be secret in marriage. My wife asked me how much I was insured for, and I told her I wouldn't tell her. I just don't want her to know the exact amount. I don't want her to want the money. I'm not saying I think she'll take me out, but I doubt any person that's been offed for their life insurance thought their killer would do it. So I'd rather be safe than sorry. She asked why I wouldn't tell her. I told her that I didn't think she needed to know how much until she had it, and that I didn't want her to want the money. I told her vaguely that she'd be fine, and theoretically, if I died, their lives wouldn't change much financially for maybe 4 more years. She said that I was being ridiculous and paranoid. She accused me of not trusting her. I told her it wasn't about trust, it was just about safety. She went off on me and yelled and cried, accusing me of thinking she'd try to get the money. We argued back and forth for the rest of the night, and I still haven't told her the amount. I told her I was sorry that our confrontation made her feel that way. I personally still don't think I've done anything wrong. LOL, you idiot. Do you think your wife will end you if you tell her you have a good insurance policy? Yeah, if this is true, he honestly sounds like he needs to talk to a professional about these feelings, because that's extremely abnormal and paranoid behavior. I knew a woman who thought very similarly, and she ended up getting a DV charge for thinking her boyfriend had a secret family he was hiding from her, and she mistreated him for that, despite there being no evidence. You are the idiot. I watch true crime too, but I would never expect my spouse to tolerate my saying that I think they'll kill me for my money. If you have so little trust and respect for your wife, why are you married and having children with her? You may want to start groveling, because if I were in your wife's shoes, I'd be seriously reconsidering the marriage. You've accused her of being greedy to the point of such extreme. I can't even comprehend what that poor woman is feeling. My partner died last summer, and while he wasn't hiding stuff like life insurance, we just never talked about it. Really sucked that first month that, in addition to dealing with the most emotionally traumatic experience of my life, I also couldn't think about long-term plans or even know if I'd be able to keep the house until I found out about the hidden life insurance details. In addition, paying for the funeral drained most of my emergency savings, so it was a financially tenuous period. So you are the idiot, OP. If you die, your partner will have a hard enough time without needing to hunt down a life insurance policy. I work as a psychologist in my private clinic. My office consists of just me and my receptionist, Jane. But on this floor of our building is a communal kitchen/break room for all of the offices. Both Jane and I store our lunches and eat there. Often I'll see workers from other companies there and make small talk. On this particular occasion, though, I, Jane, and quite a few people from the real estate business next door were in the room. One older woman was present, Mary, who'd never really said much to me, but apparently speaks to Jane sometimes. On this occasion, I was eating a prepped meal of kangaroo, broccoli, and rice, as well as a can of energy drink. Jane was eating some salad, and Mary was eating a piece of chocolate cake. She looked over at what Jane was eating and said quite loudly, "Honey, you need to eat more. You're going to wind up skin and bones." She then looked at me and said, "And you should be setting a better example with what you're eating and drinking. Do you know how unhealthy energy drinks are?" Jane looked quite uncomfortable, so I spoke up. "Mary, I think you should worry about your own health choices," pointing to her cake, "and let us worry about ours. I don't say anything about you smoking outside." And with that, we excused ourselves. However, since then, the manager from next door came around and asked me to apologize to Mary. I refused, but I do feel kind of bad. I did attack a woman for her eating and smoking, which is uncool. So, am I the idiot? Why is her boss coming to you for an apology? First, you do not work together, and even if you did, this would not deserve an apology. This is a shared space, and I would assume that all were off the clock. If Mary has a problem with you, as an adult, she should have asked to speak with you directly. Her boss should have known better than to confront another business owner over an insignificant matter. Not an idiot, but the boss and Mary are. Not the idiot. Honestly, even if my boss were to comment on what I was eating on my lunch break, I would tell them to mind their own business, albeit probably far more politely than I would have told Mary. My meals are none of anyone's concern. I even told my grandmother, again much more politely, to mind her business when she pulled that "you are too thin" crap. Sorry, Grandma, my doctor and I discussed this, and I need to lose 40 pounds, or I risk heart disease and diabetes, like Grandpa. And Mary also needs to fight her own battles. Her manager is not OP's manager. She has no authority over OP. Imagine a grown woman running to her manager to rebuke someone over whom they have no authority or jurisdiction over, something that isn't professional, logistical, or legal. Sheesh. Not the idiot, OP, but where the heck did you get kangaroo? I've literally never heard of someone eating kangaroo. I, teen male, am a babysitter for 2 kids and have been for the past year now. The kids and the parents know me really well. Saturday, their parents were going to be gone from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. I was there with them. They were in the living room watching TV. I started to ask what they wanted for lunch when I got a call from my girlfriend. She sounded weak and in tears. I asked her what was wrong. She told me she couldn't move her leg. She was on the floor and sobbing. I asked where's her dad, and she told me he was at work and won't pick up his phone. I told her she needs to call 911. She said no because they make you pay for the ambulance ride. Didn't know that. I told her I'm coming. I tried calling Shayna, the woman whose kids I babysit, 8 times. She did not pick up. I tried calling her husband. He did not pick up. I sent them both texts to which they did not respond. I just told the kids to come with me. I told them where we were going when they asked, and I had them bring their tablets so they could be occupied. I drove to my girlfriend's house. When I got inside, she was still on the floor crying. I asked her what had happened while carrying her. She told me she was trying out several stunts. She's a ballerina and hurt her leg badly. I brought her to the hospital. Shayna, who finally responded to my text, asked me if I got my girlfriend. I said yes. She responded with, "So you took my kids out of my house without waiting for a response?" I told her that my girlfriend broke her leg and had no one to help her. She said, "Understood, but what you did can be considered kidnapping. I didn't say you could take them with you, especially not to a hospital." I asked her if she preferred I left them there. She said I would have preferred you do your damn job and stay in the house with them. I didn't respond because I was angry. I went back home with her kids. Shayna and her husband got home an hour early. Her husband immediately started shouting at me. I tried explaining myself, but they didn't want to hear it. I said I've been working here for a year, and this is how I get treated? Okay, well I'm out. Have a good night. Her husband started yelling at me as I walked out, telling me to go on and leave. Stupid squinty-eyed idiot. My guy really didn't want an Asian babysitter, but Shayna liked me. I've been really upset and annoyed. Yesterday, Shayna asked me if I could babysit. I lied and said I was too busy. In reality, I'm just angry with her. Was I wrong for taking the kids with me? I couldn't leave them alone, but I couldn't be a bad boyfriend either. Not the idiot. If the parents aren't going to respond to calls and texts from their babysitter, then they are choosing to leave it up to OP to use his best judgment when an emergency situation comes up. It could have been an emergency situation with their house, the kids, with OP, or something else that OP needed to deal with while working. OP handled it appropriately and made sure the kids were safe. He is a great employee, and those ungrateful parents do not deserve him. You are the idiot, and you're the biggest idiot here in my eyes. When you babysit, you become the sole guardian of the kids and are fully responsible for them until their parents/family return. You took this job from them with the implicit understanding that the kids would be staying home, fully supervised, with your mostly undivided attention. They are paying you for this. If my babysitter brought my daughter into public during a pandemic for any reason when they're supposed to be watching her at home, I would fire them on the spot. You are the idiot. Your girlfriend most likely is on her parents' insurance, which would pay an ambulance fee. And even if not, There are payment plans for hospital bills, and the ambulance medical team would know the best way to move an injured person without causing more damage. Also, imagine if you had had a crash with children in a car who weren't given permission to be there. You most certainly could be arrested for kidnapping. I love the amount of people expecting a teen babysitter to provide professional nanny-level care. You want a professional, you hire one. If you hire a teenager for a couple of bucks an hour, you can't complain about the teenager not showing the same experience and professionalism a seasoned nanny would. My teen female, 45-year-old dad, has this habit of dating college-aged women and dumping them after like 2 or 3 years, then complaining about how needy and clingy they were. It's been going on my entire life, and it annoys me. Like, I feel if he doesn't want someone clingy, a woman in her 20s willing to date a guy who could be her dad maybe isn't the best option. It's seriously like he's allergic to any woman over 23. I've made half-jokey comments before about how I think it's creepy he only dates women 23 and under, but apparently I need to mind my own business, even though I live with him full-time, so the women he brings over are my business, especially if he wants to complain to me about them when he dumps them for being clingy. Anyway, about a week ago, he introduced his new girlfriend to me, and she's 21, but could easily pass for my age, like she wouldn't be out of place in my high school. But I don't know, it bothered me in particular that day. So when my dad wasn't around, I told her that if she's looking for a long-term thing, she won't get it from my dad, because he'll dump her before she turns 24, like every single other woman he's dated. Then he'll call her a pathetic, clingy mess behind her back. I didn't think she believed me, because at the time she laughed it off and said it was different with her. But I guess she thought about it, and she ended up dumping him yesterday, and must have told my dad what I said, because now he's angry at me for interfering in his relationship. He also said he's hurt that I think of him that way, even though all I did was tell the truth. If he doesn't want to be thought of that way, he should stop acting like that. Not the idiot. Frankly, your dad's dating partners sound awful. I'm pretty liberal about age gaps generally, but if you only date substantially younger people and break things off once they're a bit older, it suggests you like holding a certain amount of power over your partner, and that's a glaring red flag. You were right to warn her about that. Yes, and just how does he think his behavior is correct for OP? I wonder how he will react when OP puts herself in their shoes, or his. Maybe a good eye-opener for him if OP suggests she was dating an older man with the same preference as her father. Just throw in the whole, I am fine with treating women like that unless it happens to my mother, sister, or daughter argument to him. I'm curious how he will see his toxic behavior from his standpoint now. OP, you told your dad's girlfriend that he serial dates inappropriately young women, dumps them when they get too old, insults them, and then moves on to the next one, which is true. She wasn't different, she wasn't special, and he wasn't looking for an actual relationship. It doesn't sound like she wanted to be a part of what he had in mind. Also, if his dating life was none of your business, then he should stop involving you. He wouldn't expose you to his random strange women. He wouldn't talk to you about his dating life. If he doesn't want to be viewed that way, then maybe he should stop.